Hello, citizens of YouTube land.
Hey, it's your president and your VP, and we are back once again with a very special Valentine's Day edition. I know it's a few days early because we got to work, but we're back with a very special edition of I Love This Movie. This time it's
The
The
Wedding
Wedding Singer.
Singer.
Premiered February 13th, 1998. Produced for a budget of $18 million. It made $123 million at the box office worldwide.
Let's just say this was a success.
It was a hit. It is widely regarded as one of Adam Sandler's best comedies and currently holds a 69% on Rotten Tomatoes and an audience score of 80%. With Cinema Score, the audiences give it an A minus on A plus to AF scale. So, yeah, this is pretty much a critically acclaimed type of comedy for him. It is a romantic comedy, and he plays Robbie Hart, and we also have Drew Barrymore, who plays Julia, and those are the two leads.
Alright, so the film opens up at this wedding reception where he is singing You Spin Me Right Round, which is a very popular 80s song, by the way. It's very cool.
Sit up a little bit.
Oh, sorry guys.
No,
It's
we're
a
good.
very cool song, and we love it. It's you should check out the song for yourself. Also check out the movie. But we're introduced to Robbie Hart, and immediately from Robbie, we can immediately see how this guy is just from the song and the scenes that follow after. We find out a bunch of information about him, and honestly, it's really good.
He
And go ahead.
I'm glad. Sorry to interrupt my esteemed VP here, but he is an idealist. He believes in the idea of love, true love, and growing old together, staying with one partner for the rest of your life, which is also something that I believe in. So I relate to him in that way. He is going to get married next week, as it turns out, to a lady by the name of Linda. So next week rolls around. Flash forward just a little bit here. Next week rolls around, and the song "Don't Stop Believing" is playing as part of the wedding set. And it turns out Linda doesn't show up. She just leaves a note.
Yeah, and then she tells Robbie the very next day on why she didn't show up and says that it turns out she's not really in love with him, but with Robbie 6 years ago, who was the lead singer of this rock group. And then comes one of my favorite lines of the movie where he's like, well, this information would have been very good for me yesterday!
Yeah, it's a classic line. And then
And
his
then
little
his
nephew
nephew.
comes out, and he's like, "Hey, Linda, you're a bitch." Just have to throw that in there. Guys, because it's a funny line.
It is a funny line because you don't expect it from a child. And then the follow up line afterwards is like, yeah, we're thinking he has Tourette's. We're taking him to a doctor to see.
Guys, we don't usually use swear words. Maybe it's only been a few times in our videos. And parents out there, of course, we've always advised this. Watch the movie first, screen it before you let your children watch it. It is PG-13. There is an F bomb later in the film as well when we get to the most classic, iconic song out of the whole movie.
Yeah. So, anyways, all this is going on, and he's performing at another wedding after he suffered from a stage of depression, basically. And he's playing at a wedding and stuff, and he's playing a Madonna song. I think it's Holiday,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes on this big spiel about like how he hates love and all that and blah blah blah. And then the guy, the father-in-law, the rich father-in-law who's paying him, basically punches Adam Sandler in the
But
face.
this is not after the fact, or this is before, or rather after he tells basically a whole group of losers that they're never going to find love.
Yeah, and then he's like, and then the guy, while he's beating Adam Sandler, he's like, "You freaking drug addict
It is a pretty funny scene, and it reminds me of Happy Gilmore, where Bob Barker beats up Happy. So
yeah.
kind of a little bit of a throwback to that. So Julie is feeling a bit sorry for him because she finds him in a dumpster, and a literal dumpster, by the way. And she then decides that, hey, to help you get over all of this, you can help me with my wedding. It's in 3 months. And so he goes and he helps her, and they start to have a good time. And they go to this wedding receptionist, this planner type person, and they're going to set a date and blah blah blah.
But sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. But before this, there's the Hanukkah stuff that goes on,
Yeah,
and it's not actually Hanukkah. Sorry, my mistake. It's not Hanukkah. It's
it's
a bar
bar mitzvah.
mitzvah.
Yeah.
The two different things. I'm sorry. I'm not very cultured in the Jewish what Jewish customs are. So
Well,
I'm
for
sorry
those
about
of you
that.
out there who don't know,
A
a
bar,
bar mitzvah is where it's the Jewish tradition of a young boy becoming a man,
I
transitioning
do
into
believe it
manhood.
happens either 12 or 13 years of age is when that happens.
Hmm.
So, like I said, I'm sorry that I'm not
Which makes a lot of sense
that
too,
way.
because Adam Sandler is, of course, Jewish. So he would naturally incorporate Jewish elements into some of his stuff. So yeah, he helps boost this young kid's ego because this young kid asks basically the little prissy prima donna type of girl to dance with him, and she rejected him. So Robbie gets Julia to dance with him, which leads to
Possibly this really look that kind of like foreshadows
mm-hmm,
something because there's this look that she gives Adam where it's like maybe
it's
she's
like it's
like
starting to form, like it's starting to come together that maybe Glenn is not the person she should be with. Glenn,
because
by the way, being the scumbag, yuppie type of
yeah,
character
yeah, screw Glenn.
who only wants money, fame, fortune, women, fast cars. You know the type, guys.
Glenn, he works in bonds and he's like very into like Miami Vice. Which, by the way, now that I've mentioned bonds, I would like to tell you that maybe Julia was right in choosing Robbie Hart. Spoilers, by the way, but maybe she was right because there's a little instance in 1987, 2 years after this film takes place, because it takes place in the year 1985. But in the year 1987, there's a very big crash in the stock market. Yeah, stock market, known as Black Monday, and this was the biggest drop in the stock market since the Great Depression, causing millions of brokers and bondsmen, which is what Glenn is, to lose their jobs. So let's just say that Glenn was probably out of a job at the end of 1987.
So, back to the story. Julia has a cousin by the name of Holly who has a bit of a reputation, we'll just say that. And she wants to see what the kiss at the wedding is going to look like. So Julia tells her that it needs to be this perfect type of kiss where it's slightly open mouth or whatever. And so she goes, "Show me." Julia.
She leans forward a little bit. She's like, "Whoa, not on me!"
So it is a little bit of a fun situation there.
And then she's like, "Here, how about you show it on Robbie?"
And they're hesitant, they're reluctant, but they do actually kiss. And there's a theme that is playing while this happens because this movie also has some foreshadowing, as we've discussed, that leads towards what you see later on. And it's actually a really good use of it because you don't always see that. Sometimes there's nothing at all to show you what's going to happen later, and sometimes it's just done really poorly. But in this instance, it's done really well. And so Robbie, I think at this point, does realize that Julia's the right one, the
Yeah.
one. And but Holly is now kind of attracted to Robbie, and she wants to go out on a date with him.
So they go out on a double date. Sorry to interrupt,
Mm-hmm.
but they go out on a double date, And Julia, she's kind of little uneased by it, and she gets an upset stomach. And then Glenn goes on, and they're both Robbie and Glenn are eyeing on the same woman because men do that, okay? And Robbie points out, hey, that's a fine piece of meat. And then Glenn then says a line. We can't really remember what it was, but I think it was like grade A prime choice meat or something like that. And listen, it's a line that shows up later in the movie, and it's a bit of a foreshadowing event, kind of.
It was a very sexist statement. I'll say that as
Yeah.
well. Robbie, or not Robbie, but Glenn looks at women like they're property. That he just can have anyone that he wants. And he tells Robbie as much when he says that he had one younger and hotter 10
10 days
days
ago.
earlier. And so Robbie is now, he gets a little depressed about all this. And Holly, in an attempt to cheer him up, she decides that she wants to have that same kiss, but she then realizes that there's no real spark there, and she goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe that I didn't see this earlier, and that you're in love with Julia." And she goes, "Julia," and it's a true statement, but it's a cold statement because she tells him that people want safety and they want security and they want to know that they're going to have a future. And Glenn has all those things because he can provide the financial.
Until 1987.
He can provide the financial stability and whatnot.
Until 1987.
Of course, until 1987. Maybe he might have got out of it. Who knows? But anyways, so Robbie or Glenn, yeah, Robbie then goes to the bank the next day to try to get a job at a bank, and it leads to a pretty famous clip that has been used in the internet,
I like
verse
money.
a lot. The "I like money" clip.
Yeah.
And he tells him, "I like money. I have a little money. I have it in a jar on top of my refrigerator. I want more of it. That's where you come in."
Yeah.
And
So
naturally, the bank manager looks at him like he's, crazy and basically tells him to get on out of there. So, rejected, he heads home
and then he
and.
meets up with Julia, where then
Mm-hmm.
she's trying to give him a present. But then Robbie is like telling her all about this, like he wants to make money for security and stuff. And then she's like, "But that's not who you are, Robbie." And then he's like, "Well, that's what you seem to care about." And then she basically